I went to the first ever performance of the Lost Boys musical on Broadway. I know you have a million questions, so let's do a recap and review to try to answer some of them. What's up, cretins? What's up, creeps? My name is Chris. I'm the only person talking horror on the internet. Hit the sub helped me get to 5K before my 2-year anniversary this June. So the internet has been ablaze as of late regarding the musical retelling of Joel Schumacher's 1987 vampire classic, The Lost Boys. The story of two brothers and their mother moving to Santa Clara, California, not knowing that it's the murder capital of the world due to all the goddamned vampires. Now, for some background, I saw the movie for the first time at a very young age. It's one of the cornerstones of the foundation that built my love for horror. And it's probably still my favorite vampire movie of all time, so please understand, I want this to be amazing, and I'm gonna be honest when it isn't. The first thing I'm gonna tell you is that if you're writing it off based on this poster or the song snippets that you may have heard, I will have you know I bought tickets for it the day that they were released, before the poster and before the music came out. I was less than thrilled when the poster and the music did come out. And it took all of the opening scene to tell me that this was just being marketed incorrectly. That said, Lost Boys is set in 1987, and I think that that's the correct choice. Modernizing it would have made it sloppy. It follows the same storyline that you are well familiar with. I was actually surprised by how many plot and dialogue points they hit and how well it translated into a stage production. As they are adapting a 98-minute movie into a 2.5-hour stage show outside of the 15-minute intermission, there is an expansion of the material. Obviously, songs factor greatly into that, but there's more. We spend a lot more time with Michael and Star as they have a bigger love story in the show. And they're not the only ones. Michael and Sam's mother, Lucy, and her suitor, Max, also have a fairly prominent B love story. And honestly, I didn't need that, but it works. Sam's storyline is expanded by making him gay, possibly closeted, which they only really drop in like 4 times. And it's just like, oh, he likes shoes and Rob Lowe posters. And that's it. Does it matter that he is? No. I mean that from like both sides, right? Like 1, I don't have an issue with Sam being rewritten as gay, but 2, Sam's sexuality is so inconsequential to both the original movie and the Broadway show that introducing it just felt like an unfinished plot point. Like there was going to be a point of struggle or growth that doesn't really happen. It was a fine, if not pointless, change. On the other hand, an outwardly bad expansion of the material is that Sam and Michael's father appears to Michael in hallucinations. And like, we knew he was a bad dude, but I don't think that any of us were ever like, well, what did he do? Tell us more! When we watched the original movie, right? Decades of watching it, I have never cared to know what went on with him, and I don't care now that I've seen what went on with him. But they don't only add characters, they eliminate characters as well. Laddie, the youngest member of the Lost Boys, the kid that Star looks after, he is nowhere to be found. Neither is Sam and Michael's dog, Nanook. Possibly the biggest omission is that we are told right after the opening number that Grandpa left the Emersons his house because Grandpa died before the show started. His classic lines do still pop in every now and again, but they're reassigned to other characters. I don't know if it feels as good. But don't worry, your greased up muscle man saxophone player, he made the cut. But he's not part of the Boardwalk Band anymore because that Boardwalk Band is the Lost Boys, and that works. So let's get into a little bit of review here. I'm going to start off by talking about the capabilities of the cast. And holy shit, Mom Lucy is played by Broadway legend Shoshana Bean. So I get expanding her role when you have that level of talent at your behest. She replaced Idina Menzel when she left Wicked. LJ Bennett and Maria Worries, apologies if I said those incorrectly, are the backbone to the show as Michael and Star as they carry it with ease from start to finish. The show is completely stolen by Ali Louis Borsky as David. And let me just reassure you that if you saw this poster and said, "That isn't David, that's fucking TX2," same. Rest assured, from the second that he walks on stage, straight to the curtain call, this is 100% unfiltered David. His performance is a perfect mix of Kiefer Sutherland's original cut with Tim Curry at his most mischievous. And that worked so well. I kind of felt like Sam and the Frog Brothers maybe leaned a little too heavy into the Coreys that came before them. But it's first night of performances, and I'm sure that they'll get there. The overwhelming majority of the cast understood citing the past while making it your own. The pacing can feel a little bit off. I rewatched the movie after the show, and it's basically the first 36 minutes of the movie become the first 90 minutes of the musical. Intermission happens with Michael joining the Lost Boys and resumes with Sam discovering that Michael is a vampire. I understand why that's the separation point, but it doesn't feel balanced. A lot of that is that we spend too much time meeting characters, and every character gets a song with their introduction. And yeah, I get that this is a musical, but not every character needs their own song, and not every character needs to be a singing character. I actually think that the show would benefit by not having the Frog Brothers sing. Not because they were bad performers, but because those characters take themselves too seriously as is. Having Sam sing around them and looking for them to join in would be a better joke than having them sing, but like super seriously. Having them finally join in on the final song would be more satisfying to the themes of family and acceptance. But on the subject of music, songs like Superpower or Murder Capital of the World and Be Kind Rewind really don't offer a whole lot to the plot, nor do they advance the characters. Not to say that they're not decent songs. A lot of the songs range from good to very good, but I don't know that they're all Broadway songs. They're strong and the cast sells the hell out of them, but there's not a Defying Gravity or a Suddenly Seymour or an Over the Rainbow to it. The closest they come is with the song Wild, which, take a guess as to who performs it. Did you say David? Michael? Star? Sam? The Frog Brothers? Nope, it's a duet between Lucy and Max. And to be honest with you, this presents as rock musical from the beginning, and it kind of strays from it by the end. There are too many ballads. In the first act, there's at least 3, but it may have actually been 4 consecutive ballads. And I guess there's nothing wrong with that, except that it gets a little redundant. Really, there's nothing outwardly blasphemous except for the omission of Cry Little Sister. Yes, there is homage paid to it. Every now and again you'll get a "Thou shalt not fall." And I gotta be honest with you, hearing that live with the drama behind it, I got chills, I got choked up, I literally had tears in my eyes. The power to that song, combined with the capability of this cast, it's the only outright disservice to the fans to have not included a full performance of it somewhere in the production. And yeah, it's clear behind the scenes that from director Michael Arden to producer Patrick Wilson, that this was an absolute labor of love. And no expense was spared in pursuit of that love. Everything that you are going to want to see in a Lost Boys stage show, from the boardwalk to the hive to Grandpa's house to the train tracks, it's not only there, but I was befuddled as to how they pulled some of this shit off. Do the vampires fly? Yes. Is there blood? Absolutely. Death by stereo? Rest assured. A touring cast and crew, good as they may be, will not be able to pull off this level of production. For nothing else, because the infrastructure for the theater has to be a certain way. So if you're gonna see it, you may have to see it on Broadway. I was talking with a couple, shout out to Dennis and Suzanne, who are Broadway regulars. They had flown out from California with zero knowledge of the movie. They saw multiple shows this past week alone, and they've done this for decades. They have told me they have never seen such an elaborate production as The Lost Boys. Ever. The theater had some mild changes to set the mood, as you can see here. And there was a variety of themed drink options. Since you know I love spooky food, I got the Death by Stereo, which was a cherry slush, gin, and triple sec. It was absolutely delicious and only $25 after tip. But I got this cup. Whatever, support Broadway. I know the biggest question you creeps want to know. This is a horror show. I would argue that this show is more in service of Lost Boys fans than it is of the general Broadway populace. I'd argue that this show is more for horror people than it is for musical people. Is it perfect? No. But the biggest issue it really faces is the advertising. We see this poster, we see this playbill, they feel like fucking Twilight. Let me show you something. So they gave away this poster to all of us for being there the first night. And this poster, from the colors to the tone, feels closer to the show that I saw than this does or this does. They're very forward with I Have to Have You as the track that's used in all of the socials. And honestly, it's a fine song, but that's not the track. Especially when you've got a perfectly good Cry Little Sister ripe for the picking. So do you have to see it? That depends. If you're closed-minded as to what The Lost Boys is or is not, maybe you don't need to. But I think that you'd be missing out on a lot of incredible staging of something that you've only seen in one way for 40 years. If you're expecting a musical in the most traditional sense, you may come out of it disappointed by the songs. But if you're willing to set expectations to the side, you may get bit by the top-tier performances and the absolute masterwork of a production to be beheld. That's all I got for you, cretins. That's gonna do it for today, creeps. Do all these things. Let me know if you're gonna go see The Lost Boys on Broadway right over here. And as always, it's all just a matter of opinion. See it yourself, make your own decisions, remain critical, support horror.